Hello, today is Tuesday, March 26th, 2019, and this is the weekly meeting of Kubernetes SIG documentation. We are meeting at 7 p.m. Pacific in order to make it easier for folks from the Asia Pacific region to attend. So, hello. Let's start with new contributors. I don't see any new contributors, but it's always nice to see Tim. So, it's good to see you, sir. All right, let's go to updates and reminders. 1.14 docs are live. Many thanks to everyone who participated in the 1.14 release. Cody, thank you very much for being a release shadow. And many thanks to Jim Angel. Hi, Julia. Many thanks to Jim Angel and the other release shadows and everyone who helped out with the 1.14 docs. This release went really smoothly, and the results are great. So, Cody, I know that you are working with Jim to make the doc release playbook even better. So thank you for that follow-up work. Jim, you just missed us saying nice things about you.
Right on time.
Let's see. Thanks also to Barney Makonda, Jared Bati, Naomi Pentrell, and Tunde Oladipupo. Let's see. Thanks to Cody and Jared for wrangling PRs last week. Misty Linville, aka Misty Hacks, is our PR wrangler this week. Thank you, Misty. And a reminder that this week our Q2 planning session is on Thursday, March 28th from 6 to 9 p.m. Pacific time. There is a link in the agenda to the draft agenda that we have for the planning meeting. Anyone who has this link can leave a comment. So if there is something that you would like to talk about that isn't already on the agenda, please feel free to comment on the document so that we can add that to the agenda for discussion. So any questions or anyone want to talk or ask questions about the planning meeting on Thursday before we move on? Okay, well, if questions come up, you can ask in chat or we can follow up at the end of the meeting. All right, let's move on to our agenda. So we have two things to discuss this time. With a release, this may be a short meeting. It's kind of a good time to take a break at the end of one release cycle and before the beginning of another. So I want to let folks know that we are getting ready soon to introduce what we're calling a new contributor ambassador. And that is, it's a role that we will be asking folks if you are interested in volunteering for. It is a good way to, what we ask of people who are interested in being new contributor ambassadors is that you be the first people to greet new contributors to SIG documentation. Oftentimes, when folks are new to Kubernetes or new to documentation, it can be hard to figure out where to get started. And having somebody who specializes in helping new people get started is one way that I think we can serve our community better. And finding folks who are interested in greeting newcomers and I think will help our community. And what we offer for that role is it's a chance to receive mentorship, and it's a chance to work with the chairs to make sure that that you have all the training that you need to be an effective ambassador for new contributors. So it's a chance to serve the community, and it's a chance also to receive some one-on-one mentorship with myself Jennifer Rondeau, Jared Bati, and other approvers. So it's also a chance to get one-on-one mentorship. So if you are interested in being a new if you are interested in being a new contributor ambassador, you can feel free to leave a comment in chat, or you can contact me on Slack. We're hoping to fill this role, to announce its availability in the first week or two of April. Rajie, thanks for the comment. I will be sure to follow up with you about that. Okay. I also want to float the idea, in addition to a new contributor ambassador, another idea that we have is having an issue triage, what we're calling an issue triage captain, meaning that, so right now our list of issues in the website repository, we're not really paying attention to it. We focus our energy on PRs rather than issues. And it would be nice to work through some of our issue backlog. And so having someone dedicated to triaging issues, to identifying issues that would be good for first-time contributors, finding someone to be in charge of the issue log for the website repo is something that we're also thinking about. So if you're interested in being an issue triage captain, that's also an opportunity. So again, you can either comment in chat or message me on Slack, and happy to talk more about that. So let's talk about KubeCon Shanghai coming up in June. It's hard to believe that that's what, April, May, June, really only 3 months away. I'm very much looking forward to seeing folks again in China in person. So just out of curiosity, either by a show of hands or by a comment in chat, who here is planning on attending KubeCon Shanghai? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Excellent. Everyone who I would expect to attend is going to be there. Cool. For Shanghai, currently we have an intro and deep dive session scheduled. Oh wait, no, I'm sorry. I think we have a deep dive session scheduled. We signed up for both an introductory session and a deep dive session. The schedule was packed, so we had to choose between them, and we chose to do a deep dive session. And I'm pleased to say that Roy will be there to help lead the deep dive. So thank you very much, Roy, in advance for your help. What I'm curious about, so last November in Shanghai, we had the Contributor Day session where we had like 3 hours for folks to come and participate and ask questions. Are folks interested in doing that kind of a Contributor Day session again?
I think that also depends on the backlog of our Q2 planning, the translation schedule. That would be the last time we did a lot of configuration setup. That's really effective and helpful. Yeah, my idea is my 2 cents is if we have something that needs to be solved in effectively, that's a really helpful opportunity.
Okay, Julia, do you have any thought or sense about doing another Contributor Day session? I'm sorry, Julia, I can't hear you. No, sorry.
I'm gonna type.
Oh, perfect. There we go.
Oh, okay, very good. Yes, actually, I agree with you and Ray. We do need some similar session this time too, because we're actually switching from the old Google Doc kind of task-taking approach to the GitHub thing. So I think there are still lots of stuff to clarify to people who are willing to participate. Yeah.
Great. Then I will make sure that we are signed up for a slot during the Contributor Day session so that we have plenty of time to work on whatever your team wants to work on.
Right.
Okay, great. So there's as part of the planning for KubeCon, we have the opportunity to put together a questionnaire for people who sign up to attend, and we can ask some specific questions about documentation, about people who are interested in documentation at KubeCon Shanghai. Are there any questions that it would be helpful for you to know, Julia, or like things like a preferred language, just like a sense of number of people coming?
Yeah, that may help too. I think we could give more thoughts on that, the questionnaire thing.
Okay. We have some time. It's not an immediate concern. We have some time to determine what goes on the questionnaire. So let's see. Why don't you and I keep in touch? Sorry?
Do we have a deadline for that? Yeah.
Let me check the issue really quick.
Okay.
Let me put that. I'm going to drop a link into the Zoom chat so that you can see the issue as well.
Okay.
I don't see a deadline right off the top of my head, but I can follow up and find out what that deadline is.
Okay.
We'll work with Julia to set questionnaire
deadline and should be there.
Okay.
Yeah, that's good.
Okay. All right. That is the end of what I have on the agenda. Are there other things that folks would like to talk about in the time that we have remaining? We have plenty of time. We can talk about whatever you like.
Yeah, I think I have asked Dan like a couple months ago whether we would have the similar kind of incentive for translators to come to KubeCon Shanghai. And I think at that time he gave me a positive yes, but I still want to like make sure if this is going to happen like we did last time. So last time it's like translator would send email to, I think the address is like event@cncf.io, something like that. Yeah, and provide their like GitHub handle and write up some like reason why they should be able to come to KubeCon. So I don't know whether we can work the same way as last time we did.
Okay, I will follow up with Dan and get an answer to you.
Okay, great.
Yeah, I think that works. I actually tried.
It does?
It was last time.
They sent you the email address to events@cncf.io.
The same way, right?
And attach your GitHub user ID.
Okay, so Ray, did you do it already for this time?
It's not just the Chinese translator.
Yeah, Chinese translator.
It's open to everyone.
Okay.
It's also on the registration page as well.
Okay, that's good to know.
Yeah.
Yeah, let me follow up with Dan just to make sure to see if there's like an end date for that, so that like if there is an end, whether just to make sure that people register before that. I don't know. Let me follow up with Dan and find out.
Cool.
Okay. Other questions? Other things folks would like to talk about?
I wanted to recognize Steve and qiming for helping me out for the reference docs generation. And I'm still kind of working through that. And I definitely appreciate the help.
Yeah, that was a question I was going to ask is, how's that going? And qiming, do you have the permissions you need now?
Yes.
Okay, good, yeah.
I have just created a branch for release 1.13. I'm going to do the same for the next release as well.
Yeah, cool.
Yep, and I'm working my way through the documentation right now, just kind of making some minor tweaks. I feel like it's I'm making the documentation foolproof because I'm making it so I can understand it. So as I work my way through it, I'm working with qiming on generating that, but things are looking good so far, definitely. And then I saw qiming also put the PRs in for the generated documentation. So I plan on merging those probably end of day today just to get those in, but I want to try myself first before merging those in. But those will be in before midnight tonight Central.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, good. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you, Stephen qiming, for helping out with reference doc generation. Yeah, thank you.
I didn't do much. I mostly said, I think there are other people who are in charge of this now. That was what I did. So thank you to the others.
Stand in the way, and that too is valuable. Jim, I think that's also a really good idea to practice the steps and make sure that they work. I mean, it's great to have the generated docs, but it's even better to have a verifiable process.
You know, and one of the problems is that the process tends to change over 3 months' time because people work on the tools and the process changes, and we don't always remember to document the new process. So it tends to be a learning experience each time.
Do you think, Steve, that is this the sort of challenge that we could solve if we just had headcount? Like, is this just, do we need to throw money at this to make it better? If we had like a engineering headcount, do you think that is it the kind of thing that's solvable by putting an engineer on it?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
But I'm going to leave that question to those who are currently working on it. But that's my thought, is that it could, if you had engineering resources on it, that we could get tools that were consistent and robust and would serve us over and over again. And one of the questions we might want to ask is, do we want to keep having different formats for different kinds of ref docs? The Kubernetes API ref docs are very nice, but they're always extra work because they're in a different format. But I'm not going to propose an answer to that question because it's not my ballpark anymore. But it always crosses my mind that that's a lot of extra work to keep that happening.
I ask because I think the CNCF has some discretionary funding for doing things like improving the doc tool chain. So I will look into what it would take to get some engineering headcount on API doc generation. And I agree. Anything that we can do to improve the presentation format overall and to standardize it so that not to reduce the number of points of frailty in the doc generation, I think would be a good thing. Let's see.
So talking about doc generation, what are your thoughts about putting the ownership on the actual tools themselves? Like, KubeCuttle released their own kind of playbook or handbook. In Federation V1 was the one that I'm bringing up with the working group for Federation to start documenting Federation V2. Just thinking about overall ownership of that, I know we can't say 100% of ownership of generated docs is on them because we are SIG Docs. But curious if there's like a meet us in the middle type approach to this.
That's a good question. It's the kind of question that I would want to approach. I would want to approach that discussion with a really good sense of what the engineering requirements would be like to ensure that we had a good doc generation process. Because I think if we go to like to kubeadm, to kubectl, to those groups and say, can you do this instead of us? That's different from saying, if we have, this is the particular scope of the problem, or not the problem, this is the particular scope of the improvements we'd like to do. These are our specific goals for this release process. Can you meet us there and help us get there? That's a very different ask, if that makes sense.
Yeah, totally agree.
That was kind of the way it was at the very beginning. You know, if you went to Kubernetes into the hack directory, there were tools there for generating, you know, just about any docs, any reference docs that we needed. But we've worked on, you know, we've taken several side trips off of those tools. In some cases, we've completely moved away from them, and in some cases, we've added so that the output is prettier. So I think those are the questions that we have to ask is, you know, would we want to go back to that simple raw format, or would we want to go back to, you know, asking them to take what they've already done and do it in a way that the format is prettier? And maybe some of this has already been done. I haven't paid too much attention over the last 6 months.
Sure, and I haven't either, truth be told. So I'm just trying to think of this in terms of of actionable terms about who does what next. Well, I can say for sure that that I will follow up with the CNCF to make sure we're funded by dev headcount, better ref doc generation. Jim, I know you care about this stuff, but I also care about your level of burnout and being after, please take some time after this week is done, please take some time away from docs. It's not because we don't want you, we do, but I want you to be happy and healthy. And after leading a release, you've got to recharge. So
totally appreciate it.
Well, we appreciate everything that it takes to lead a release. So is this a question that we need to resolve in the next 2 weeks, or can we put it down and pick it back up in two weeks? And defer it at least long enough for folks to get a rest, and then maybe come back to the question.
Yeah, no, I don't think this is too pressing. You know, I say that lightheartedly, that it's Barney's issue now. But I do think, though, that this is going to be one of those things that does evolve, and really we need the momentum to continue to be carried forward. You know, more so than this being really an answer. I don't think it's you know, I don't think there is a clear answer here. But I think as long as we're asking the question and moving it forward, we'll be in a good shape, or in a good spot. That's fair. Yeah, I just don't want it to keep languishing. Even if we don't need to act on it immediately, it's good to at least have a sense of moving it forward. So 2 weeks is April 9th. So I've marked this down to revisit the question of ref doc generation on April 9th. We can follow up on.
All right.
So Jack, this is Qiming. Can you loop me in to the communication about doc generation?
Absolutely.
Thank you. Thank you. Because as far as I know, it's not a problem of the Kubernetes community. It's a problem of some other public libraries the Kubernetes community is using. So it's not a very simple problem to solve.
Yeah, I would agree with Qiming on that. You know, in addition to, I think documentation has kind of lacked in the past couple of release cycles. So I found that to be lacking, which I'm trying to replace. But I think there's a multiple areas where there's problems here.
Okay. Yeah, Qiming, your perspective on this is invaluable. I'm happy to include you in any discussion that we have. Okay. What else shall we? What else shall we discuss? How is the localization going for Chinese? Roy and Julia, how is the localization project going?
I
think. Okay, go ahead.
Sorry. Yeah, we had a meeting chatting about we have, as you know, we have a separate repo to manage the tasks. Last week, I organized some. We have actually 2 active contributors involved, but they have some kind of difficulty to manage the task between the 2 repos. And last week we get together, talk about the sorting out the process, as well as how to handle the reviews between different team members. Yeah, I think it's going pretty good. The most important thing is we are actually like 2 release behind, because 1.14 got released this Monday. We are still working on 1.12. So my biggest question and concern is to my team is how we can get a release 1.12 as early as possible. So the majority of time was kind of like spending on how to manage the task, as well as how can we accelerate the development process. Yeah, I think it's going good, but the most of the time is mostly just like chatting for the first time. That's actually the first time face-to-face virtual meetings with the 2 new contributors, so it's pretty interesting. Yeah, so that's the update. But that's an update from my side.
Yeah. Yeah, like Ray said, he has spending quite some time doing some face-to-face, virtual face-to-face communication with the members to clarify the process and those kind of issues. I think we're still spending quite some time on clarifying those stuff. And actually, from my side, I'm also thinking to use the WeChat platform, the one that we had, to release some kind of directions to face more audience, to let them make sure, yeah, they understand the process, the new process right now. So we are still working on that, yeah, together.
Okay. Thank you for the update. Are there any challenges that you're facing on the website side are there any challenges that you're facing with GitHub? Any questions that we can answer?
I think it's pretty clear to us right now, but the thing is that since we've been through this kind of change and switch, the problem is how to make other people, the more audience in a larger scope, to understand the change, why we changed, the history of the change, and how they could participate into this new kind of process. Yeah, that's the scope of the audience and the kind of issue of the spread thing. Yeah.
Okay. Again, thank you for your patience with all of our changes. I think our localization process now is quite stable and will remain so. Since the first of the year, we have added 3 more localizations, French, Italian, and German. And I think our process right now is stable. It's obviously working better now. And I want to express gratitude again, Julia, to you and to all of your team for helping to make this process become as easy as it is, because it was not always this way, as you well know. So anything that we can do to ensure folks that the current process is stable, that they don't have to be afraid of any more big changes, at least not in the foreseeable future.
Yeah, right. So we are trying different ways to reach to people. Like Ray talked to me 2 weeks ago saying, hey, why not we could do some like face-to-face kind of Zoom meeting. I said, yeah, why not? We can definitely try in that direction. Yeah. So I think we are thinking of doing different things to try to poke the members to say, hey, yeah, look at now, we have a different kind of way to do it. So yeah, try to drag people's attention and provide them with more incentives to participate in this. Yeah.
Awesome. Junyi, how is the localization process going for the Korean team?
We are having meeting weekly, and 114 list means for localization team. It means start of 114 translation. So we're gonna have 2 different working branch temporarily for finishing 113 translation and starting 114 translation. And we have a plan to report our activity to our local community. The report will be prepared by Soko. Okay, that's it.
Great. Thank you for the update. All right. Last call for things to discuss. Oh, so Rajie is asking about the Q2 planning doc. Could you please elaborate on the grade points that are against each of the action items in the Q2 planning doc? Let me see if I can get to a place where I can share that easily. Here, let me share my screen really quick. So if you can see here, we have grades that say like 0.7, here's 0.5, here's 0.3. This is on a 0 to 1 scale, so these are fractions of 1. So it's a percentage system, if you will. It's an estimate of if unfinished is 0 and completely finished is 1. It's a fractional estimate of how far along these items are. So the first thing that we'll do in the planning meeting is we'll review the goals that we set in December of last year. We will review our goals that we set then and see how what kind of progress that we've made. So what you're seeing here is Jennifer, Jared, and I have gone through and we have made some initial estimates of how far along each of these projects are towards completion. So you can see things like onboarding new devs and admins, meaning specifically like better content, improving the content, making it easier to onboard for Kubernetes. And for the specific goals that we set in December, we have fractional estimates for how far along we are. Like the content plan that Steve made for specific content in December, that's about 70% of the way done. So you can see 0.7 here, meaning about 70% of the way done. Then the getting started docs, those are still in the very early stages of getting done. But then down here, better admin docs, specifically for securing a cluster. Zach Arnold has created the security working group and is moving along quite nicely. So that's what these fractional scores are, is estimates of completion, if that's helpful. Okay. Anything else to discuss? Last call. All right, that is a weekly meeting. Thank you, everyone. Have a good week. Take care.